Well, g'day and welcome to the shed, and today we're outside the shed, and the reason we're outside the shed is that I've just been gifted this thing. Now this is, I thought originally a radiogram, but it's not. It's actually just a console radio, and it's a Peter Pan, and the front here opens up to reveal the radio. Here it is, Peter Pan. I haven't seen one of these before. I've heard of Peter Pan. I've seen other Peter Pan radios and most of them are very nice. This one is, well, the cabinet at least, is, I suppose you'd say, an acquired taste. One which I have yet to acquire. But nevertheless, let's have a look at it. I thought if I can get it going, maybe I can find someone who likes it. And there's the dial. Bit dusty, but the glass is intact. The dial glass itself looks perfect. No sign of flaking off or anything like that. Knobs, okay, so it does, it does have short wave markings along the bottom here, so it's probably got short wave. This feels like it's got a 1, 2, 3 position switch, so that might be wave change. That'll be tuning. That doesn't feel good. No pointer visible, nothing moving. That'll be volume. I guess that's 2 position, so that could be wave change. This could be several tone settings perhaps. There's nothing written on here to indicate what the switches are. Looking in here, it's looks like a conventional 5-valve setup. One of these will be the rectifier, the other one's the output. I don't know what they are. That's a 6v6. The tuning going, yeah, that moves okay. Just, I guess the dial string's broken. First and second IFs. Pretty basic radio. This link will be for a phono input. Lots of aerial wire here. I've been told it doesn't work, so I don't expect much. Now, it's got a field coil speaker in it by the looks of this. I might just have a look. Might just see if we've got continuity through there. So looking down here, the field coil wires, I think that's yellow and black. Yeah, that is black. So I'll have a look at the plug, see what we get from that. Just check that's zeroed. Now there's the yellow. On the fat pin, and the black is on the other fat pin, which is often the case. Well, there we go. This is times 100, so we've got 1,000, about 1,400 ohms across a field coil. So that's promising. At least that's not dead. Almost anything else you can fix. Well, I don't know about the mains transformer, but yeah, okay, so looking here, we've got a red and a blue. I'd say they're probably the output transformer primary. Just have a look at them. Yeah, that's times 100, 500, just over 500 ohms across that. And the other 2 wires, we've got a white and a thick brown one. I'll see if that might be the voice coil. I couldn't really tell looking at the speaker, but I think that's probably what they are. I'll just re-zero the meter. Okay, and we've got on the ×1 scale Yeah, nearly 2 ohms, 1.8 maybe. So it looks like the speaker checks out. Put that back in. I'll leave that off. If we get that far I might be able to check the HT. Okay, well let's hook it up on dim bulb and just see what happens. Now the person that gave it to me said that it lit up, but it didn't work. So I don't know exactly what that means. Lit up, it could be the flames coming from the back, or it could be anything. We don't know. Now it's got an old twin flex cord. It looks to be intact. Can't see anything frayed or anything, and it's stiff but it's flexible. Plug looks good. So yeah, I couldn't see anything else alarming in there, so I'll plug it in. That's off. On dim bulb, here goes. It's dimming off. It's not full brightness or anything like that. Just checking for smoke or anything, but I can see heaters on in a couple of valves. So on dim bulb, it's pulling 20 watts, 0.119 amps, and it's pulling the voltage down to 170. I'll just leave it there for a while. There's no sign of any sound, not a peep out of it. That won't work, of course. Oops, won't have done it a lot of good. Well, that just came off in my hand. That might be wave change, but there's nothing from the speaker, not a crackle, not a hum. From the amount of current it's pulling though, I suspect there's something working in there. Alright, so here goes. Going up to 22, 58 watts suddenly. 60. Pulling 60.6 watts, 0.257 amps. And still absolutely nothing from the speaker. No hum, nothing. Perhaps the voice coil's dead, although I've got a measurement across it. I have no idea. Okay, just quickly while I've got it on dim bulb, off dim bulb, briefly, I'm just going to check what voltages we've got around here. And yeah, I'll use that rivet as a ground. It's hard to find a ground point here. The yellow wire to the field coil we got, that's just around 50 volts. Hang on, 250, that's about 75 volts. We're on the 250 volt range. And oh, hang on. The black wire to the field coil's 250 volts. And what do we got across it then? 170 volts dropped across the field coil. Looking at this is now pulling 78 watts. That's way too much. There's something cooking in there. Turning it off. No grub screws, and the knobs just pull off without too much difficulty. Some of them even got felts. Yep, there we go. It's got a little metal insert in there that nearly fell out. I have to be careful of that. Unplug that. And let's get it out. There's only a couple of screws holding the chassis in as far as I can tell, so it should just slide straight out. Well, here we go. It's certainly an unusual looking chassis. I've also taken out the speaker because being a field coil speaker you can't do much without it. It has to be in circuit for the thing to work. So it's got lots of cobwebs here, but doesn't look too bad. And looking at the other side, what a beautiful speaker. It's perfect. Not a tear. There's a little bit of dust in the bottom here. Oh dear, how terrible. And no scraping, and it moves freely. So I can't see any reason why that wouldn't be working, obviously, anyway. Just checking the braids to the voice coil, they look intact. There's a bit of pet hair and dust down there, but nothing remarkable. It's got a conventional spider, fabric type. One thing is a little bit interesting. On the side of the magnet assembly here, this is welded. So the top assembly here is welded to this bottom plate. And that looks factory. It's got a bit of like paint on it. Now this wiring looks like a bit of a dog's breakfast. Here's the original wiring clamp. It's all plastic. And this wire is thicker than the others, and it looks to be rubber and perished in a few spots. I can see bare wire there. The rest of it going up to the plug is thinner and plastic. You can see another crack in that wire there. And looking inside, this could have been resoldered. It's hard to tell. But having a look at the chassis, and this is a really unusual chassis. I've never seen anything like this before. Transformer mounted flush, but this is one piece of metal curved around here and down the front. It's got a big vent here, obviously for cooling for the transformer. This will be a phono bridge, so you pull that out and put your record player in there, no doubt. Okay, let's have a look at the valve lineup. And we've got a 6v6 here. I already know that. That's a 5y3 GT behind it. Over here, without a can on, we have, I can't quite see that. That is a 6J8. Quite a light chassis. It's easy to pick up, turn over. Now, what will we have inside the can here? That was almost shorting on there. I don't know if it was. These all look original. I mean, it's hard to tell, of course. Let's just see what's inside the goat can here. Come on, out you come. You know you want to. Maybe a 6U7. Who knows? What do you reckon? 6U7? It's got rubber around it. Haha! 6U7. Well, that can go back. Notice all the dust is on the far side of the valves because it was sat up on its end, with the top facing upwards, or the dial face facing upwards. The glass stayed in the... oh, that's awful. The glass stayed in the cabinet. It's attached to the woodwork with little metal cleats, so it's safe enough to stay there. I'm just looking for some deoxit. Here we go. That was a bit loose. There we go. Alright, so what's the guess with this valve? Oh, that cap's possibly moving a little bit there. I'll just have to be a little bit careful with this. Keep some pressure on the actual valve cap while I try and pull this off. It's got a little hole in the top so you can press down on the cap, save reefing it off the valve. Not too sure what this one will be. What's your guess? 6B6. Okay, let's have a look underneath. And one thing about this chassis design, it's easy to tip up. I'll just turn around and show you the front. This is the front of it. It's just a piece of translucent paper, and the dial pointer just runs up and down there. I think the dial drum is inside here. So we'll take this out and have a look at that in a minute. But first up, let's have a look underneath. So tuning, there's the end of the dial string. Yeah, there's the dial drum there. Here are the two electrolytics that I could see from on top, and this one's been replaced, possibly by this. And here we have a very, very crusty cap. I guess it's a huge waxy. I can't really read it. I'll see if I can see a value in that, because it's going to need replacing. 0.25 microfarad, something 100 volts. So it's a 0.25. Big paper cap back there too. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a paper cap up here too. 5 paper caps. And the electrodes will all need replacing. But it doesn't solve, or really solve, our mystery as to why there's no sound at all out of this. Just looking at the wiring in here, over here on the switch, this is cloth covered wire and it looks fine. But some of this stuff here looks like rubber covered wire. I suspect this is brittle, and if you touched it, it would fall apart, as well if you twisted it around too much. It looks to be intact though at the moment. So we'll see how we go with this. From such an unpromising cabinet, it's an interesting radio. It's very sparse in here. There's not a lot in here. It does have shortwave obviously, but it's just your basic AM radio. Nothing terribly sophisticated about it, I don't think. And quite a neat design. Just the way it's put together is quite unusual. I like this wrinkle finish on it. A bit like the dashboard of the MG. It does look like we can easily unhook this, so I might just do that while we're here. I don't want to do too much more this evening because it's getting late and I've got to go to work in the morning. And let's just take this out and have a look behind it. Yep, there we go. And we've got a big dial light here. This looks like a motor vehicle light, and another one here, and a great big dial drum, and looks like a very straightforward arrangement with the dial cord. Okay, I've got the chassis upside down and I've been poking around here trying to work out how everything works. Fortunately, it's not a very packed chassis. You can actually find your way around it, which is a welcome relief after the one I've just been working on. So I'll just bring you in here and have a closer look, and I'll just show you how things are laid out here. Okay, so obviously the transformer here. These two brown wires are the secondary coming out. This is the rectifier valve here. This is the valve socket for the 6V6 output valve. So we've got the secondary coming out here. This goes to this cap to ground. This is the first half of the pi filter. That then goes to the field coil of the speaker here in the speaker socket. I can't see anything else coming off it before it goes to the field coil. Comes back from the field coil on this terminal here. That's that light green wire that you might just be able to see behind there. That goes to the screen of the 6V6. That's on pin 4. And goes to, basically the screen goes up through this wire to this beautiful piece of work here. This I guess it's a wax paper cap. also from the screen to ground. So it is effectively in parallel with this electrolytic down here. I presume to filter out higher frequency stuff. This will take out the AC and this will take out any other noise on it. At least it did once. So there's one major failure point. There's another one. It then of course goes through the output transformer. So this screen voltage goes, where's the output transformer wires? There. Goes into the output transformer, comes back out this red wire here, that one there, through here and to the plate on pin 3 here. Now I know there's continuity through the output transformer and through the field coil, so we'll see what's happening, see what voltage I'm going to get on the 6v6 here, because there's no sound at all, and there really should be. So I kind of suspect, without even checking, that one of these caps is pulling the voltage down, either that or the 6v6, but I don't think that's likely. So without the 6v6 in, I'm going to put it on dim bulb and check some voltages. Now I want to get something like operational voltages, so I've got the big daddy of them all, 100 watt bulb in the dim bulb. That'll just give me some minimal protection while I poke around in here, or give the radio some minimal protection anyway. Okay, so turning the radio on dim bulb, plugging in anyway. Dim bulb is on and on. I'll put the meter to volts, give it a minute to fire up. Pulling 55 watts without the output valve in, it's seeing 209 volts in. The rectifier's probably had time to heat up, which is all we're looking at. So coming out of the rectifier, 184 volts, 185. Okay, so that will go through here to the field coil. Yep, 188 it says there, 89, it's picking up a little bit. 190, okay, so the rectifier's warming up and doing its job a bit better now. 191, looking back here we should see the same. 192, yeah, so it's gradually picking up. Now, coming back from the field coil is this second fat pin here. It's this one here. We've only got 59 volts, so all of that's being dropped across the field coil. 59 volts coming out. 197, so it's got 150 volts dropping across that field coil. Bloody hell. That's also the same as the top of this cap and the top of this cap here. 59 volts on the screen. Of course it goes through the output transformer and then from there to the grid. To the plate. The plate has 0.2 volts on it. That's ridiculous. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Something's dropping the voltage big time. My money's on this thing. Doesn't feel hot. That doesn't feel particularly hot either. Oh, and I checked that other electrolytic, the one that's still in circuit. I'm leaving it there for the moment. Where is it? Here it is, here. Because it's the cathode bypass cap for the 6v6. It's not in the power supply circuit at all. So I won't worry about it for the moment, although it's almost certainly dead. Okay. I'm going to try cutting this, because it's going to have to go anyway. We'll see if we have a difference in voltage now. I'll turn it back on again. Give it a minute to warm up again. Okay, so coming out of the rectifier, 185. It's probably going to come up a little bit. Yeah, it's still coming up. More particularly, what have we got coming back out of the field coil? 57 volts. It still hasn't improved it then. Okay. What else have we got in the circuit? We got that electrolytic there. Okay, that was great. The memory card filled up and I stopped recording just as I got to the interesting bit. So I'll just have to go back and show you what I did. I cut this capacitor. It made no difference. We still had 59 volts on the plate. Looking around, then I saw this paper cap to ground off the plate. Cut it, and now we have 390 volts on the plate. Same thing here on this cap, 389. That's probably coming up a little bit. So that little paper cap was our culprit. Anyway, I'll replace this one and this one because they need it anyway. As I think I said before, this other electrolytic here, well, where is it again? There it is. It's on the it's the cathode bypass for the 6v6, believe it or not, and I don't know what it's got on it. Nothing to speak of. I'll replace it as well because it's just old and decrepit, but it's not going to have been our problem. So there we go. I'll replace them and fire it up and see how we go. Okay, so I've replaced them, and that one there, and the little paper cap in there that was the cause of all the trouble. I'm going to put in the 6v6, put some power on it, and just see if we get any noise. So here we go, it's the 6v6 going in. You never know, I'm feeling lucky, I might just put an aerial on it too. Speakers in. Alright, plugging it in. On dim bulb it with the 100. Turning it on. Let's see how we go. Now I've still got this hooked up, so I'll just see what our voltages are. And the plate. I'll turn the meter on. Okay, that was an immediate turn off. I didn't see what it was. The dim bulb didn't light up, but something is not happy. Something's arcing. Just see if I've shorted anything while I was working on it here. That looks alright, nothing there. That's just going to ground. There is some old rubber wiring here that could potentially short, but I don't think that's happening. I might have to watch the video and see if it gives me some clue as to where that came from. So I couldn't actually see anything. I was looking away just at the moment I heard it. Was it shorting there? Alright, I'll watch the video back and see if it gives me some clue as to what happened. Okay, this is a bit of a mystery. I've had a good look around here and I can't find anything shorting, anything going on that would explain the arcing there. I cleaned the contact, didn't make any difference. So I ended up changing the cathode bypass cap just temporarily. This looks a bit messy, but there's I don't need to use a 600 volt cap. This is just the only 8UF cap that I had lying around, and it is supposed to be 8UF. So I'll redo this when I get a smaller cap. So this is just temporary. It'll do the job for now. Alright, plugging it in. And on dim bulb, turning it on. and we'll see what happens this time. Okay, so that's warmed up, so keeping a very close eye on this valve socket, going off dim bulb. Turning that off. Wow, if anything that's worse than before. In fact, I think it is worse than before. So the arcing continues. I really don't know quite what to make of this. It's getting worse, I think, but the strange thing is that it stops when you remove the valve. With no 6v6 in the socket, you don't get any arcing. I'm wondering why, with all this going on, I'm not hearing anything through the speaker. I've checked everything for shorts. Yes, we have this very crusty wire here, which is the return for the voice coil. I don't know why. It appears that all these others have been replaced and not that one. I will replace it, of course, but I've checked it, and for the moment there's no shorts going on there, so I'm not too worried. But why aren't we hearing enormous crackling noises from the speaker when this thing's arcing like that? Okay, I think I've found the reason for no sound with the speaker. Here's the output from the transformer, and the humbucker coil goes from here, comes back up and goes to here. But this is not connected. This has been touching the humbucker coil here, so that might have been shorting out the voice coil. I'm not really sure, but this certainly does not belong here. I think it belongs on this contact here. It looks as if there's a little mark there where that's been touching. So I had a closer look at it. I wasn't quite right. Yes, this is the output. The braids are attached to the outer terminals here. So the output, or the secondary of the output transformer, goes here, through the voice coil, back out here. Now the other side of the humbucker coil is attached to the back of this, through the humbucker coil, back out to here, and back to the output transformer here. So this should be here. Now I can see a piece of wire just at the top there that it was probably attached to. But basically, yeah, the voice coil circuit was open circuit. Looking at the plug, I was looking across these two wires, this white one and this brown one. And of course I was seeing from the voice coil to the return of the humbucker coil, but not the secondary, the output transformer. So I thought it had continuity, it didn't. Okay, so I plugged the speaker in, plugging it in on dim bulb. And turning it on. Now it didn't arc before until I put it off dim bulb, so we'll just see how that goes. Turning it on, let it warm up for a minute. Ooh. And I am hearing a noise from the speaker. I've got the volume turned right down too, so is that reception? What? Turning the dial drum here. Hang on. That is reception. Turning it up a little bit. Oh, that volume control's very dodgy.
It has opened the way for Labor to revert to type on the politics of...
Okay, we're still on dim bulb. I think I'll turn it down for this. I'll turn it down. And I'm going to go off dim bulb now. This will probably arc or something, I don't really know. I'm ready to turn it off as soon as it does. So here goes.
Anthony Albanese said, Education
Nothing
Minister
yet.
Jason Clare said the opposition would make students and workers pay for their bosses' lunch When he realised the policy,
Nothing yet.
when he released the policy last month, Peter Dutton said it would be good for the struggling hospitality sector. We want other small businesses to spend more at their local cafes,
No arcing.
clubs and pubs, Mr Dutton said.
No
and if
arcing
they
at
can take
all.
their employees to the venues and pay for a meal as part of a milestone sales event or acknowledgement for their hard work.
There seems to be no problems going on in there. No sign of any problem there at all.
Was prepared to double down in defence of the lunch plan, gave the government oxygen.
Okay, this is great. I didn't expect that. Why? Gee, I don't know why. But that seems to have solved the problem. Let's just have a look at some voltages here. I'll have to shut the door for the reflection. Hang on a sec. Okay, so I guess first of all the plate. Let's have a look on the plate. 247.5 volts. And the screen 274. Okay. Cathode 12.8. Well, whatever they are, that seems pretty healthy to me. It's what you would expect. But it's working. It's working. So yeah, that's great. So where to from here? I really do need to replace that crusty wire in there, some more of these crusty wires, and I'll get a lower voltage 8 UF cap and put in that cathode bypass and tidy this up a little bit. Other than that, yeah, probably should. I don't know about this cap here. This is the first stage filter cap. Looks to have been changed. Measures okay, but I may as well change it while I'm changing caps in here. And there's a couple of waxes around the place. None of them are in critical positions though. This one here is the grid coupling cap to the 6V6, and it also looks to have been changed. I did measure it. Can't see anything wrong with it. It's a 0.022 mic. I was able to get a full schematic for this radio off Kevin Chant's website. Kevin actually contacted me and said that the chassis number should be stamped somewhere on the chassis. So I found the numbers ELN and 1999 stamped on it. So it follows this is an ELN or a model ELN. The 1999 will be the serial number. So thanks Kevin, got this great schematic. It comes with the whole service manual, so that's really good. So I've been trying to work out what just happened and why it suddenly started working after I fixed that fault with the speaker. Now, zooming in on the schematic, here's the speaker voice coil. What's not shown on here is the humbucker coil. Now that's here, in series with the voice coil and the secondary. And we had a break across here. Now, my theory is that there would have been audio being generated across the secondary because there's B plus on here. Now, if this was intermittently touching occasionally, it would have caused a spike in the current running through here. So the turns ratio here is huge. There's only a few turns on the secondary and an awful lot of turns on the primary. It measures about 500 ohms, but I would imagine the turns ratio would be enormous. So a small spike in the current or a small break in the current intermittently on the secondary would cause a large spike back on the primary. In fact, the transformer's working in reverse in this situation. Now the primary is across from the screen to the plate, and we've got B plus on this line as well. So that would have caused a loud crack in the audio, I would imagine, which then again would cause a larger or a loud pulse on the audio side here, potentially causing this to arc perhaps at a microscopic level. So it would have got a bigger audio spike, which in turn would have generated a bigger spike on this side. And so we have basically a feedback loop. Now the arcing was between here on the screen and here on the plate, and my theory is that this connection, just intermittently touching, was creating huge voltage spikes across here. When I fixed it, the problem disappeared. So at least that's my theory. I don't know if that's what happened. I've got no way of proving it or disproving it because the radio now works, and I probably couldn't replicate the conditions where the wire was just touching again anyway, even if I tried. Well, I've finally run out of excuses why I can't do the dial string. I've given it all a clean in here. It's come up reasonably okay. This isn't seen anyway. I've got myself some 0.8mm dial string, which is about the same as what was in it, and this is a fairly simple one, so hopefully it will work out alright. So I've only laid out some basic instruments here. Just want to chock this tensioner pulley up. Maybe that piece of wood will be better, I don't know. Yeah, that does the job. So it runs around the two pulleys, up around there, does another circle around the drum. That's crossed over there. I'll just uncross that. Yep, that will be alright. And back around to here. Okay, now I'll tie a knot as close as I can to the end and push it up tight. And I'll also tie it to the other one. That makes sense, doesn't it? But first, I'll make sure that that's going to work. So, taking this out, and we now have tension. Okay. That's the end of travel. Very good, it seems to work. Now I have this assembly here which I've cleaned up, and that's slightly oily. That gets screwed in here and the pointer will run on it, so I'll put that back in next. Okay, centering the dial, and I'm kind of doing it the easy way, or well, the hard way perhaps. I'll put a piece of tape around the inside of the drum, mark this end and cut the tape, mark the other end and cut the tape. Taking the tape off, folded it in half and marked the centre, and I know it's right. So that's the centre. Now I've just got to mark the centre of the top, and I'll probably do something similar with that. I'll just put some tape along it and I'll mark that, and mark that, and fold that in half. One mark on top of the other. That's our centre. So there we go. I just hooked that on there. Couldn't do it without putting my head in front of the camera, so I didn't show it to you. So that should theoretically be centred. So there we go. I've given it a clean up, replaced the remaining caps, and I've now put the diffuser panel in the front here. It's just a piece of heavy paper, I think, or cardboard, but it works all right. Now I reversed it. It was burnt a little bit from the dial lights at the top there, so I put it upside down because only the bottom half of this dial is used. The dial glass is that high. The top half of it just hangs out and collects dust.
Counterbalance and reach forklifts, walk strikers and more. If it's 2024 plated, get a great Toyota forklift deal. For more, visit
Perhaps the second ball duck. So that's the perfect example of what we've been talking about. Joe Sterry just undercut the ball deliberately.
Anyway, about time to put it back in the cabinet, I suppose. Except I hate to put this quite interesting chassis back in that that cabinet. Never mind, that's what it came with, that's where it goes. And so on with the cabinet. I don't propose to do an awful lot with this cabinet. It's intact. I'm going to give it a rub over with some furniture wax. I've painted in this black area here, which was all peeling off, and it looked absolutely dreadful. Apart from that, there's no real repairs necessary. It is what it is. So I'll start by applying some furniture wax to the top. And that does help a bit. Now, Peter Pan was made by Eclipse Radio Proprietary Limited in Melbourne, and they made some beautiful radios. Very collectible these days, lovely designs, and quite good performers by all accounts. That's coming up all right, I guess. It'll polish off. But this seems to be a radical departure from what they were doing. You have to wonder what they were thinking. Perhaps they were looking to do something radically different that would carry them into the future. Perhaps drawing on influences such as the World War II concrete bunker, and on a more domestic level the common laundry chute. They decided to go in a bold new direction. If that's the case though, you have to wonder why they put such a basic chassis in it. I mean, this chassis, nice as it is, it's got the nice crackle finish on it and a quite unusual design with the curves and whatever, but it's a very basic radio. It's got one medium wave and one short wave band, no band spreads, nothing like that, no magic eye, no bells and whistles at all. The most basic of tone control, just got 3 settings, one of which is for short wave listening, bass and treble cut with no feedback. The other one, the second setting's normal, and the third one is a bass cut. Why you'd want a bass cut, I don't really know. Anyway, we'll see how this comes up. I'll just give that a rub over with a dry cloth, see if it'll polish up at all. It's not too bad. Whatever they were thinking, this model seems to have sunk into obscurity. While anything with a Peter Pan name on it would be collectible, this one is probably less so than the others. The other, and I suppose more likely possibility, is that post-war they decided to produce an austerity model, poverty pack. I suppose the polite term is entry-level radio, and it certainly qualifies on those grounds. I've got no information about what these sold for when they were new. Well, that's improving it a bit. In fact, I couldn't even find a photo of one for comparison on the internet anywhere. So regardless of what you might think of it, this is an interesting piece of history. There can't be too many of these around. Just getting ready to put the chassis back in, and I noticed there's a wasp nest up here that I missed. I don't know if I can get it out. Oh, there we go. It's got some, or at least one dead wasp in it. Well, there's the chassis back in the cabinet at last. It's taken me the best part of an hour to get it back in, even though it's only held in by 4 screws. Getting them in is probably really a 2-person job, and it's just as well I didn't film it, because I did express my opinion of the cabinet, its designers, their genetic heritage and a number of other issues rather freely. Anyway, it's there now at last. One thing I was wondering about is this really solid shelf. This is probably the thickest piece of wood in the cabinet, very solid, and I'm thinking It must have perhaps been used to hold up batteries. Perhaps there was a battery model of this radio. Don't know. I couldn't find out anything much about it.
To enjoy at Sandalford Restaurant at the beautiful Sandalford Winery.
Well, there we have it. Australia's answer to the Pacific Elite made across the ditch in New Zealand. The Peter Pan model ELN in all its magnificence. This has been an interesting one. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time. Bye for now.